Ladies, gentlemen, and everything in between, we are back with another banger. We've got predicting UFC 302. So I'm going to start off with the prelim headliner and then work my way up to the main event. Okay, so first off we've got Cesar Almeida versus Roman Kopylov. For me, I've gone for Almeida on a decision because I think this has actually got fight of the night potential, to be honest. Both guys, heavy strikers, have got a lot of power. Obviously Almeida has been in there with the likes of Alex Pereira, and I think obviously Roman Kopolov's got a lot of power, but for me, if he can't get if he's been in there with people bigger than him like Alex Pereira and Cesar was able to beat Alex, I think that Cesar Almeida is going to win on a decision. I didn't actually know he'd been in there with Alex until this fight got announced, but yes, that's my prediction. Cesar Almeida on a decision. I think this will be a good fight though, and I don't see Roman getting knocked out. Although I don't think he's been knocked out before, I might be wrong. But yeah, I can't imagine he'll get stopped. And then also for Almeida, he's taken, punches from harder hitters in my opinion. And so yeah, I don't think that he will get knocked out. I think this will be a unanimous decision victory for Cesar Almeida. Right, let's go to the main card opener. We've got Randy Brown versus Elizeu Zaleski dos Santos. Probably butchered that name, I'm not sure. But yeah, for me, I think this is going to be a Randy Brown unanimous decision. I don't think Elizeu's got some good wins, to be fair. He has wins over the likes of Benoit Saint Denis, Sean Strickland, so he's obviously a good fighter. But both of those men were quite young, and I think Benoit came in on short notice. So yeah, I don't know if Elizeu will be able to beat Randy. He's obviously got the experience as like an edge over Randy, but so most of I'm just looking at his stats now. Most of Elizeu's losses have come by decision, so 56%, whereas not most, but a large majority, 33% of Randy Brown's wins have come by decision. So for me, I'm going to go with a Randy Brown decision. Okay, right. Then we've got Jailton Almeida versus Alexander Romanov. Again, this is another fight that is just not. This isn't too entertaining. I think Jailton Almeida will win. I've obviously chosen a submission, and the reason I say that is, I think that Alexander Romanov will shoot for a takedown in like the first minute of the fight, and then get extremely gassed, and I think he'll then get submitted. I think he blows his load too quickly, and I can just see Almeida submitting him in the first or the second. Equally, this could also be a really boring fight, and it sort of just depends on the conditioning of Romanov, I think. If he ends up having really poor cardio going into this fight, I think he'll get submitted. But if he's coming in shape, then I think that he'll be able to compete with Almeida. Although, again, Almeida was out wrestling Curtis Blades, so if Curtis Blades, who in my opinion is probably a better wrestler than Romanov, or a better all-rounder than Romanov, if he obviously Curtis ended up winning in the end, but he was still I think he lost the first round. So yeah, I think that Almeida will get a submission, because I just think that Romanov hasn't got good enough cardio, and I think he'll get very tired very quickly. And yes, that's my prediction. Alright, then we've got Kevin Holland versus, I think it's Mikhail. I'm not even going to try and do his surname. This Polish bloke on the right. For me, again, I'm going with a submission. I think this is going to be. This has fight of the night potential as well, but I think that Mikhail has lost. Let me look. He's lost. He's actually only lost one. Sorry, he's lost 5 fights via submission, which is 71% of his losses. So I reckon he will get submitted, because Kevin's obviously good on the ground. Kevin has won 8 fights by submission. That's 32% of his wins. So for me, I can see Kevin stopping him. I don't think he's experienced enough. Kevin's obviously got more fights. But yeah, so I just think that Kevin Holland's going to go out there, show the skill difference, and submit him in probably the later rounds, to be honest, but could be an early stoppage. Right, now, this is where the fights get good in my opinion. This is where I'm starting to pay attention a lot more. Sean Strickland versus Paul Acosta. I think we've all seen most of their fights, or have watched at least one of their fights, and this is one that I'm really excited for. I think that Sean Strickland, obviously coming off that Dricus loss, but it was obviously a close one. Paulo Costa coming off of the fight with Robert Whittaker, that was also a close one. Well, not close, but he nearly had him out there in the first. And I do believe that if it had gone on for an extra 10 seconds, then I do think he could have got Robert out of there, and I think he's got the power to have done so. But for this fight, I've gone for Strickland on a unanimous decision. I think that this is going to be quite, I don't want to say one-sided, because Paulo's obviously got the power, and I think that Strickland will get caught a few times. I think he'll get rocked a bit, but I think that I don't think he'll get dropped. I think that Strickland's got good enough defense to just, cancel out the offense of Paulo Costa, and yeah, I think that this will be a fairly comfortable win for Strickland. The annoying thing is, it probably should have been Strickland versus Robert Whittaker, and then Paulo versus Khamzat Chimaev, because if Strickland wins, then he's beaten the guy that got beaten by Robert, and it doesn't prove him better than Robert, so it doesn't warrant him a title shot. Whereas if Robert can beat Khamzat, I'd argue that's a better win, and he's coming off of 2 wins as well. But yeah, so I've gone for Strickland via unanimous decision. I like both guys, and they're very good personalities for the sport, but I think that Strickland will edge out a decision. Okay, right, then we get to the main event, Islam Makhachev versus Dustin Poirier. Now for me, I've gone back and forth so much on this. I'm going to go with Islam on a split decision, and the reason I've gone for such a specific decision is I think this will be so close. I think Islam's going to get dropped in the fight. I think I can imagine maybe Islam wins the first round, but gets maybe rocked at the end, then Dustin drops him in the second, so obviously a dominant round there for Dustin. Third round close, fourth close, fifth maybe Islam dominates but gets caught in a guillotine at the end, so everyone's like, oh, Dustin's won, and then it ends up being an Islam win, and everyone's like, oh, I thought that was a bit of a robbery. So yeah, I personally think that this is going to be a close one, and I don't think either guy will get stopped, but I do think Islam will be close to finishing Dustin, and I can see the same the other way around. But yeah, I think Islam's going to win, and I think that Dustin's going to be disappointed that he didn't get the decision, but I think he'll sort of ride off into the sunset. It's more of like a people's champion. But yeah, let me know what your predictions are in the comments below. Have a blessed day. Peace, love and guidance. I'm out.